Everyone, welcome back to Reading Corner. We're still doing Celebrate Your Sports Team Week. So today I'm celebrating the Hawthorn Hawks, which is one of my favourite AFL football teams, and my son as well. And he used to play for a team called the Baronia Football Club, or the Baronia Hawks. And so we're big Hawks fans in this household. So today we're going to be reading some classic little golden books. One of my favourites from when I was a little one, when my dad used to read it to me. And this is the Poky Little Puppy. And then after that, we've got Scuffy the Tugboat. So we've got puppy dogs and we've got boats. And then in this wonderful book from the Little Golden Book Library, we have the Sailor Dog, which is about a dog who loves boats. So I really, really hope that you enjoy these stories as much as I have loved them my whole life, and so have my kids. So we're going to begin with Poky Little Puppy. Five little puppies dug a hole under the fence and went for a walk in the wide, wide world. Through the meadow they went, down the road, over the bridge, across the green grass and up the hill, one after the other. And when they got to the top of the hill, they counted themselves. 1, 2, 3, 4. One little puppy wasn't there. Now, where in the world is that poky little puppy, they wondered, for he certainly wasn't on the top of the hill. He wasn't going down the other side. The only thing I could see going down was a fuzzy caterpillar. He wasn't coming up this side. The only thing they could see coming up was a quick green lizard. But when they looked down at the grassy place near the bottom of the hill, there he was, running round and round, his nose to the ground. What is he doing? The four little puppies asked one another. And down they went to see, roll-moll, roly-poly, pell-mell, tumble-bumble, till they came to the green grass, where they stopped short. What in the world are you doing? They asked. I smell something, said the poky little puppy. Then the four little puppies began to sniff, and they smelled it too. Rice pudding, they said, and home they went as fast as they could go, over the bridge, up the road, through the meadow and under the fence. And there, sure enough, was dinner waiting for them with rice pudding for dessert. But their mother was greatly displeased. So you're the little puppies who dig holes under fences, she said. No rice pudding tonight. And she made them go straight to bed. But the poky little puppy came home after everyone was sound asleep. He ate up the rice pudding and crawled into bed, as happy as a lark. The next morning, someone had filled the hole and put up a sign. The sign said, "Don't ever dig holes under this fence." But the five little puppies dug a hole under the fence just the same and went for a walk in the wide, wide world. Through the meadow they went, down the road, over the bridge, across the green grass and up the hill, 2 and 2. And when they got to the top of the hill, they counted themselves. 1, 2, 3, 4. One little puppy wasn't there. Now, where in the world is that poky little puppy, they wondered, for he certainly wasn't on top of the hill. He wasn't going down the other side. The only thing they could see going down was a big black spider. He wasn't coming up this side. The only thing they could see coming up was a brown hop toad. But when they looked down at the grassy place near the bottom of the hill, there was the poky little puppy sitting as still as a stone, with his head on one side and his ears cocked up. What is he doing? The four little puppies asked one another, and down they went to see, roly-poly, pell-mell, tumble-bumble, till they came to the green grass, and there they stopped short. What in the world are you doing? They asked. I hear something, said the poky little puppy. The four little puppies listened, and they could hear it too. Chocolate custard, they cried. Someone is spooning it into our bowls. And home they went as fast as they could go, over the bridge, up the road, through the meadow, under the fence. And there, sure enough, was dinner waiting for them with chocolate custard for dessert. But their mother was greatly displeased. So, you're the little puppies who will dig holes under fences, she said, and no chocolate custard tonight. And she made them go straight to bed. But the Poky little puppy came home after everyone else was sound asleep, and he ate up all the chocolate custard and crawled into bed as happy as a lark. And next morning, someone had filled the hole and put up a sign. The sign said, "Don't ever, ever dig holes under this fence." But in spite of that, the 5 little puppies dug a hole under the fence and went for a walk in the wide, wide world. Through the meadow they went, down the road, over the bridge, across the green grass and up the hill, 2 and 2. And when they got to the top of the hill, they counted themselves. 1, 2, 3, 4. One little puppy wasn't there. Now, where in the world is that Poky little puppy, they wondered, for he certainly wasn't on top of the hill. He wasn't going down the other side. The only thing they could see going down was a little grass snake. He wasn't coming up this side. The only thing they could see coming up was a big grasshopper. But when they looked down at the grassy place near the bottom of the hill, there he was, looking hard at something on the ground in front of him. "What is he doing?" the 4 little puppies asked one another. And down they went to see, roly-poly, pell-mell, tumble-pumble, till they came to the green grass, and there they stopped short. "What in the world are you doing?" they asked. "I see something," said the Poky little puppy. The 4 little puppies looked, and they could see it too. It was a ripe, red strawberry growing there in the grass. "Strawberry shortcake," they cried. And home they went as fast as they could go, over the bridge, up the road, through the meadow and under the fence. And there, sure enough, was dinner waiting for them with strawberry shortcake for dessert. But their mother said, "So you're the little puppies who dug that hole under the fence again. No strawberry shortcake for supper tonight." And she made them go straight to bed. But the 4 little puppies waited till they thought she was asleep. Then they slipped out and filled up the hole. And when they turned around, there was their mother watching them. "What good little puppies," she said. "Come, have some strawberry shortcake." And this time, when the Poky little puppy got home, he had to squeeze through a wide place in the fence. And there were his 4 brothers and sisters licking the last crumbs from their saucer. "Dear me," said his mother, "what a pity you're so poky. Now the strawberry shortcake is all gone." So the Poky little puppy had to go to bed without a single bite of shortcake, and he felt very sorry for himself. And then next morning, someone had put up a sign that read, "No desserts ever unless puppies never dig holes under this fence again." The end. I hope you enjoyed that as much as you might enjoy rice pudding or strawberry shortcake or chocolate custard. And now we're going to read all about Scuffy the Tugboat. Scuffy was sad. Scuffy was cross. Scuffy sniffed his blue smokestack. "A toy store is no place for a red-painted tugboat," said Scuffy, and he sniffed his blue smokestack again. "I was meant for bigger things." "Perhaps you would not be cross if you went sailing," said the man with the polka dot tie who owned the shop. So one night he took Scuffy home to his little boy. He filled the bathtub with water. "Sail, little tugboat," said the little boy. "I won't sail in a bathtub," said Scuffy. "A tub is no place for a red-painted tugboat. I was meant for bigger things. The next day, the man with the polka dot tie and his little boy carried Scuffy to a laughing brook that started high in the hills. Sail, little tugboat, said the man with the polka dot tie. It was spring, and the brook was full to the brim with its water, and the water moved in a hurry, as all things move in a hurry when it is spring. Scuffy was in a hurry too. Come back, little tugboat, come back, cried the little boy, as the hurrying, brimful brook carried Scuffy downstream. Not I, tooted Scuffy, not I. This is the life for me. All that day, Scuffy sailed along with the brook, past the meadows filled with the cowslips, past women washing clothes on the bank, past little woods filled with violets. Cows came to the brook to drink. They stood in the cool water, and it was fun to sail around between their legs and bump softly into their noses. It was fun to see them drink. But when a white and brown cow almost drank Scuffy instead of the brook's cool water, Scuffy was frightened. That was not fun. Night came, and with it the moon. There was nothing to see but the quiet trees. Suddenly, an owl called out, "Hoot, hoot!" "Toot, toot!" cried the frightened tugboat, and he wished he could see the smiling face of the man with the polka dot tie. When morning came, Scuffy was cross instead of frightened. I was meant for bigger things, but which way am I to go? He said. There was only one way to go, and that was with the running water where the two brooks met to form a small river, and with the river sailed Scuffy, the red-painted tugboat. He was proud when he sailed past villages. People build villages at the edge of my river, said Scuffy, and he straightened his blue smokestack. Once Scuffy's river joined a small one jammed with logs. Here were men in heavy jackets and great boots, walking about on the floating logs, trying to pry them free. "Toot, toot, let me through," demanded Scuffy. But the men paid no attention to him. They pushed the logs apart so they would drift with the river to the sawmill in the town. Scuffy bumped along with the jostling logs. "Ouch!" he cried as two logs bumped together. "This is a fine river," said Scuffy, "but it's very busy and very big for me." He was proud when he sailed under the bridges. "My river is so wide and so deep that people must build bridges to cross it." The river moved through big towns now instead of villages, and the bridges over it were very wide, wide enough so that many cars and trucks and streetcars could cross all at once. The river got deeper and deeper. Scuffy did not have to tuck up his bottom. The river moved faster and faster. "I feel like a train instead of a tugboat," said Scuffy as he was hurried along. He was proud when he passed the old sawmill with its water wheel. But high in the hills and mountains, the winter snow melted. Water filled the brooks and rushed from there into the small rivers. Faster and faster it flowed to the great river where Scuffy sailed. "There is too much water in this river," said Scuffy, as he was pitched and tossed on the waves. "Soon it will splash over the top, and what a flood there will be." Soon great armies of men came to save the fields and towns from the rushing water. They filled bags with sand and put them at the edge of the river. "They're making higher banks for the river," shouted Scuffy, "to hold the water back." The water rose higher and higher. The men built the sandbags higher and higher. Higher went the river, higher went the sandbags. At last, the water rose no more. The flood water rushed onto the sea, and Scuffy raced along with the flood. The people and the fields and the towns were safe. On went the river to the sea. At last, Scuffy sailed into a big city. Here, the river widened, and all about were docks and wharves. Oh, it was a busy place and a noisy place. The cranes groaned as they swung the cargoes into great ships. The porters shouted as they carried suitcases and boxes on board. Horses stamped and truck motors roared. Streetcars clanged and people shouted. Scuffy said, "Toot, toot," but nobody noticed. "Oh, oh," cried Scuffy when he saw the sea. "There is no beginning and there is no end to the sea. I wish I could find the man with the polka dot tie and his little boy." Just as the little red painted tugboat sailed past the last piece of land, a hand reached out and picked him up, and there was the man with the polka dot tie and his little boy beside him. Scuffy is home now with the man with the polka dot tie and his little boy. He sails from one end of the bathtub to the other. "This is the place for a red painted tugboat," said Scuffy, "and this is the life for me." So lots of adventures for Scuffy and for the poky little puppy. But now we've got a dog named Scuppers who loves sailboats. So let's read about him in The Sailor Dog. Born at sea in the teeth of a gale, the sailor was a dog. Scuppers was his name. After that, he lived on a farm, but Scuppers was born at sea. He was a sailor, and when he grew up, he wanted to go to sea. So he went to look for something to go in. He found a big airplane. "All aboard," they called. It was going up in the sky, but Scuppers did not want to go up in the sky. He found a little submarine. "All aboard," they called. It was going down under the sea, but Scuppers did not want to go under the sea. He found a little car. "All aboard," they called. It was going over the land, but Scuppers did not want to go over the land. He found a subway train. "All aboard," they called, but it was going under the earth. Scuppers did not want to go under the earth. Scuppers was a sailor. He wanted to go to sea. So Scuppers went over the hills and far away until he came to the sea. Over the hills and far away was the ocean, and on the ocean was a ship. The ship was about to go over the sea. It blew all its whistles. "All aboard," they called. "All ashore that are going ashore. All aboard." So Scuppers went to sea. The ship began to move slowly along. The wind blew it. In his ship, Scuppers had a little room. In his room, Scuppers had a hook for his hat, and a hook for his rope, and a hook for his handkerchief, and a hook for his pants, and a hook for his spyglass, and a place for his shoes, and a bunk bed to put himself in. At night, Scuppers threw the anchor into the sea and went down to his little room. He put his hat on the hook for his hat, and his rope on the hook for his rope, and his pants on the hook for his pants, and his spyglass on the hook for his spyglass, and he put his shoes under the bed and got into his bed, which was a bunk, and went to sleep. Next morning, he was shipwrecked. Too big a storm blew out of the sky, the anchor dragged, and the ship crashed onto the rocks. There was a big hole in it. Scuppers himself was washed overboard and hurled by huge waves onto the shore. He was washed up onto the beach. It was foggy and rainy. There were no houses, and Scuppers needed a house. But on the beach was lots and lots of driftwood, and he found an old rusty box stuck in the sand. Maybe it was a treasure. It was a treasure to Scuppers. It was an old-fashioned toolbox with hammers and nails and an axe and a saw, everything he needed to build himself a house. So Scuppers started to build a house all by himself out of driftwood. He built a door and a window and a roof and a porch and a floor, all out of driftwood. And he found some red bricks and built a big red chimney, and then he lit a fire and the smoke went up the chimney. After building his house, he was hungry, so he went fishing. He went fishing in a big river. The first fish he caught never came up. The second fish he caught got away. The third fish he caught was too little, but the next fish he caught was just right. Now he's cooking the fish he caught in the house he built, and smoke is going up the chimney. And the stars came out and he was sleepy. So he built a bed of pine branches and he jumped into his deep green bed and went to sleep. As he slept, he dreamed. If he could build a house, he could mend the hole in the ship. So the next day at low tide, he took his toolbox and weighed it out and hammered planks across the hole in his ship. At last, the ship was fixed, so he sailed away until he came to a seaport in a foreign land. By now, all his clothes were worn and ripped and torn and blown to pieces. His coat was torn, his hat was blown away, and his shoes were all worn out, and his handkerchief was ripped. Only his pants were still good. So he went to buy some clothes at the Army and Navy store and some fresh oranges. He bought a coat. He found a red one too small. He found a blue one just right. It had brass buttons on it. Then he went to buy a hat. He found a purple one too silly. He found a white one just right. He needed new shoes. He found some yellow ones too small. He found some red ones too fancy. Then he found some white ones just right. And here he is with his new hat on, with his new shoes on, and with his new coat on, with his shiny brass buttons. He has a can of polish and a cloth to keep them shining. And he has a new clean handkerchief and a new rope and a bushel of oranges. And now Scuppers wants to go back to his ship. So he goes there. And at night, when the stars came out, he took one last look through his spyglass. And he went down to his little room and he hung his new hat on the hook for the hat. And he hung his spyglass on the hook for his spyglass. And he hung his new coat on the hook for his coat. And his new handkerchief on the hook for his handkerchief. And his pants on the hooks for his pants. And his new robe on the hook for his robe. And his new shoes he put under his bunk. And himself he put in his bunk. And here is where he wants to be. A sailor sailing the deep green sea. The end. I hope you enjoyed our books today from Little Golden Book, all sorts of little classics there, Poky puppies and adventurous boats and adventurous dogs that go on big trips in their boats. And I really hope to see you again at Reading Corner soon. Bye for now.